Hello everybody, this is Professor Twitchell, and today I'm going to do a medium-length Twitchcast over your syllabus. And I know that for those of you who are in the dual credit, which is all of you, you are most likely unfamiliar with the concept of a syllabus. And so the first thing that I want to point out to you as we begin is that every course that you will take, in college will have a syllabus. Now, this is not like something that, like when you get a new cell phone or some kind of a subscription service, you sign, quote, I agree to the terms and conditions. Well, don't do this with this, because when you go to your next educational institution after high school, this syllabus is everything to you as a student. And instead of using the word syllabus, I want you to think of the word contract. Because what this is, and it's required by state law, and it's required by all kinds of institutions that have to do with accreditation for colleges, medical schools, dental schools, chiropractic, whatever, teacher certification, is that every course has to have a syllabus. So this is a contract that is going to do a couple of things. Number one, this is a contract between you and the college. And as we will point out in just a few minutes, that there's a lot of information in a syllabus that a lot of students choose to ignore. I would implore you to, if you're going to choose to ignore the stuff that I'm going to show you much later, then you need to have this syllabus, your syllabus, bookmarked, saved, etc. Trust me, there's going to be one of you in the sound of my voice that may need this in future reference. It's also a contract between you and your professor. The professor is saying to you, not only are these the state standards, the national standards, these are my standards for my course. And I'm telling you, if you don't know the syllabus and something goes haywire, you really are out of luck. However, if you know the syllabus and you know what's required of you, it is showing, what do I have to do? The professor is saying, this is what you have to do in order to be successful in my class. So keep in mind, this is a contract. Now, you're seeing here that I'm using the government one. I just happened to get it done first, and it doesn't matter. This information will show up for some of you as History 1301, and for some of you as History 1302. So the first thing is just general information, and it's going to show you the course times and where you go to class. I'm always surprised when I teach face-to-face classes on a campus, how many students don't know where to go. They don't know where their class is. Now, I know this sounds silly, and particularly if you're going to go to a huge university, A&M, UT Austin, UT San Antonio, Texas Tech, etc. You need to know where your classes are. You need to go with your campus map, unless you know the campus, and go find where your courses are and know what time they are. Okay? However, ours is easy. It's online. Now, the next thing every syllabus has is instructor information. It tells you the email address, as you see right here. Be sure you have that somewhere where you can find it immediately. Make me one of your contacts if you need to, etc. And so now, just because I want you to know, my parents, I guess, were nuts when I was born. I go by the name Karen, but legally I'm Charles K. So here I am. Be scared. There's a picture of me right there, so you can kind of get an idea of who's blabbing at you on this Twitchcast. Now, every syllabus must have when you are able to meet with your professor. On some syllabi, and depending on the professor, it may say office hours. Every full-time professor must have office hours. And so this is when you go to talk to them about grades, attendance, but you must make an appointment when you're going to the office. Don't just show up. However, for me, my time of engagement is through emails. And I talk about that in a little bit later, so we're just going to move on. Now, every college syllabus must have a contact person. You know, I've never had this happen. However, there might be times, and I don't know what would precipitate that, where you need to, I guess for the lack of a better word, complain, okay, about the professor, about the class. Make it serious. Don't do something on a whim. My professor spoke rudely to me yesterday. Come on, you know what to do here. Now, let me encourage you to do this. In the military, there's something called the chain of command. One of the things I'm going to encourage you to do is if there is a, quote, problem with a professor, and it is something you feel like you can deal with that professor one-on-one, you start with the professor first, okay? Or if you're in a huge class, like they have at many of these big universities, you talk to their teaching assistant first. If you don't get any relief from that, talking directly one-on-one, now is when you compose an email, state your problem, be clear, etc. So you have to know your contact. Now, for the lack of a better word, I call this following material that I'm scrolling through the blah, blah, blah. This is required by state law, and it's all about what is the course cover, what are you supposed to get out of this course, etc. All right? Now, the next one, let's slow down here for just a moment, and you will see a section that says what are the required text and what are the materials. Now, for this class, we have a textbook. There will be some classes in your next step forward, your future college career, if that's in your plans. You may have to buy 3 books, novels, paperback books, manuals, whatever. So you want to look at this, know what you're required to have, and I will give you this little quick bit of advice, and maybe your classroom teacher can say yay or no. Go to class before you buy your books. Go to class before. And then you can make decisions from there. And of course, you no longer have to buy textbooks. You can rent them. There's 100 million places to rent a textbook. So pay attention to what the materials are. Now for our class, we have a free online textbook. You are not required to buy this textbook. So what you're going to do when you get ready to set up the class, you're going to go in, you're going to find, that's a hot link when it's on your screen, and you're going to bookmark where that textbook is found. Now later on, you'll be given specific chapters from the textbook. But for right now, if you are doing, of course, History 1301 or History 1302, you download the History textbook 3E, okay? And government only has 1 textbook. And so for those of you in government, this is already linked for you here. Now history, when you get your syllabus for 1301, there will be a hot link for your course, okay? Remember, it's free. You do not have to purchase a thing. Then we go to the technology requirements. And most of these have the same statement concerning what technology requirements. Now, let me say this to you about that, okay? It's telling us as professors for dual credit that you have to do a student orientation. Now, I want to share with you that, you know what? We're getting split answers on this. So for right now, as you're listening to this, by the time you start school on August 11th, I should have a definitive answer, okay? Now, here is just regular information, but I want to point out to you this right here. You'll be taking your semester exam online. If you use a Chromebook, you cannot take a test online in D2L. There's a conflict of software. They've been using Chromebooks now since the pandemic and COVID. Still haven't worked out the issue. So, and you've got a long time. It's not until November. You've got a long time to find you a computer that you'll be able to use, probably your computer at home if you have another laptop. But I just want to point that out to you, okay? Now, I want to slow down right here, and I want you to notice what this says. Will not accept, got it? Will not accept any type of file other than Word or PDF. These are the type of files that are not acceptable. Now, I am not being a jerk. Is that a jerk yet? I don't know. I'm not being a jerk. Because of D2L and the way the software is set up, if you use any of these types of applications, I have to download your paper, bring it up on my computer, and grade it. The problem with that is there can be no corrections. I can't load it back up. You will not know what you did incorrectly. And so what I will do is, if you forget, because a lot of you have MacBooks like I do. So what you're going to do is I will give you a 0 temporarily, and I will tell you that it is the wrong format, and then you just go back in and you change it to a Word or a PDF. Now, I imagine that most of you have Microsoft products, but I don't know that for sure. So there is a free Microsoft Office for students and teachers. And so I've got a link here, and all you have to do is provide them with a school email. Okay, it could be, I guess, it would need to be your Lone Star email, not your personal email. So now we get into kind of blah, 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 kind of. These are the dates that are important as far as this course is concerned. And then there are important dates showing the holidays, when the campus is closed. Now, when the campus is closed, I do not give you work to do over the closure, okay? I do not give you work to do over Labor Day. You can work to get ahead. I don't assign it. Now, I do want to slow down right here, and I want to talk about this box right here. In college, there's something called the W date. And the W date stands for withdrawal, when you are going to leave the class because of grades, because of absences, whatever the case may be. Now, my job and the job of your classroom teacher is to not have you drop. I want you to stay in the class, and I will work with you as much as I can should something happen that you do get behind. But here's what you need to know. If you drop before this date right here, you drop with what is called a W. Okay, and you could have a 12 average, okay, but it'll show up as a W. Now, be aware that in Texas, regardless of what university, college you go to, you are only allowed a total of 6 drops. 6. So you don't drop lightly. You have to really think about dropping. This affects financial aid, graduation, etc. Now, if you don't withdraw by the 10th, once again, look at the 10th right here, okay? Then whatever grade you have is on your transcript, ladies and gentlemen, forever. If you've got an F, it stays on there. I don't care if you go back to college when you're 32. That F is going to be there. That is what knowing the drop date is so important. Okay? Now, I will say one more thing. I know I'm staying here a long time, but some of you are totally new to this, and maybe your classroom teacher is new to this as well. If you have to drop, listen to me carefully, you have to drop yourself. Okay? Your classroom teacher cannot drop you. Your parents cannot call the school and drop you. You will have to go see the person in charge on your campus. There's going to be, I think it's a counselor that will be in charge, and they will have a form for you to sign. So absorb that for just a moment. Okay? Now, you will have a final exam or project. You will know about it, trust me. So here it is right here. Don't worry, just keep moving. Now, this also tells you what I use for grades. These are the things that you will be doing in my class. The things here on the left-hand side. Then this is a brief discussion of what these assignments are. Okay? And then these, some professors do what is called a weighted average, WEIGHTED, which are percentages, like they would say vocabularies of 50% of your grade, etc. I do points. It's easy, it's simple, it's arithmetic. And so this is a very close approximation because we might have a hurricane, God forbid. Something may happen at your school that it has to close for the day. Like last year I taught 2 classes at Foster High School. They had to shut down for 3 days because of electricity issues. So this is a very, very close approximation. Then it tells you how the grades are determined. And so you got that kind of, it's a repetitive thing. Don't ask me why we have to do it twice. Now, here's the one that I want to talk to you about very quickly. Once you get set up in D2L, and once I get D2L, your course grades set up, any day, anytime, you can open your grades, and you will see both. You will see your number grade as you're used to seeing in high school, 92%, 93, whatever. And you will see your total points up to whatever the grades are. So your grades are never, ever a secret. We'll just get everything set up the first week once Lone Star opens. Now, the academic calendar. This is where most dual credit students mess up. And this is the future you. When the future you goes on to other educational institutions, I'm going to tell you this in all honesty, you are going to be alone, ALONE. There will be no daily class. There will be no loving classroom teacher saying, don't forget your assignment's due on Saturday. No, you're alone. And that's why every course has a calendar. And these calendars are when assignments are due. Now, I'm going to ask you to read very carefully this section. I'm just going to point out some highlights. It's subject to change. If something goes haywire with weather, there are some things that will happen at one of the schools I'm teaching at, and then it doesn't happen at the other. So everything is just dependent on the school and the day. Or if it's a hurricane, or an ice storm, etc. Okay? Now, this is subject to change. It is imperative, my friends, my lovely students, that you check the announcement page every day. Your D2L has an announcement screen, okay? Even if for some reason you're not going to check, you're not going to work in D2L that day. And I'm going to tell you, because so much happens over weekends, Sunday evening, I want you to check. Okay? I can't make you check. You have to be responsible. Start practicing being responsible for yourself. Now, once you get this calendar, the thing you need to do is you need to go enter, okay, whatever kind of calendar you keep. And I'm going to share with you that many college students, speaking of ChatGTP, we'll get on. Okay, so I got distracted. I apologize. Whatever kind of calendar you use, I'm going to encourage you to enter it into your calendar. And many, many college students, guess what they use? Paper calendars. And they hang them up on a bulletin board. So that every time you sit down, oh my God, my project's due next week. I totally forgot. So you do what you do. Now, this calendar will, quote, look sparse to you. So here's what I want you to be sure that you know. On your assignments, which are called the guided vocabularies, I have posted on the assignment itself, not down here, okay? I have posted the assignment itself on the guided vocabulary. There will be links for the videos. There will be the textbook chapters. Okay? So I want you to have it on the assignment itself. Because if it's only here, you'll forget to look. I know how you people are. So this is the academic calendar. And you notice with the green marks, those are your due dates. Now, when you get your syllabus, the bullets will be here. This is just a quirk of this program I'm using. So let me take a deep breath and let's count to 10 silently. Give your ears a break. Here we go. Okay, here we go. This is the most important part. This is my contract, specifically with you. So let's first start and talk about getting in touch with me. The only way that we are enabled to interact is through the Lone Star email system. I cannot text you. You cannot text me. I cannot call you or vice versa unless prior arrangements have been made through me and the classroom teacher, etc. So you have to be able to contact me via email. Now remember, my email was listed up at the top of this syllabus. Now, I check email at least most days of Monday through Friday. I check when it says actively, I check 2 times, I check 2 times per week. Nope. Boy, did I get distracted there. I apologize to you, ladies and gentlemen. I check twice per day, okay? It is a per day thing. And 9 times out of 10, I respond very quickly, usually on the same day. Now, after 4 o'clock, I don't check emails, okay? When you send me an email, I want you to be sure that you include which class you are in. Hello, Professor Twitchell. My name is Karen Twitchell. I'm in government. Then that tells me I know where you are, where to go to look. I'm in History 1. Or you can say 1301. Or you can say I'm in History 1302. That tells me you're at Randall. This tells me you're at Nelms. This tells me you're at Nelms. Okay? Now, then you state your issue. Be very clear. I'm having trouble with the assignment. And go on. I'm having trouble with the assignment. Go on. Okay? So keep that in mind. Attendance is done through your high school. I do not monitor attendance unless it becomes a problem. If you start missing lots of class, then the LSP will be in touch with me. And then I will have to make decisions concerning your grade in college. Now, if you are a smart and responsible student and you become suddenly very ill, there's an accident, there's a major event in your family that is going to cause you to miss a week of school, and that happens, okay? Then I would also tell the LSP and then send me an email. That way you're covering your bases. Because your LSP is responsible for your high school grade and stuff, and I am responsible for the college grade. Now, I don't worry about electronic devices. That's your classroom teacher has to take care of that according to school policy and state policy. Now, I think this right here is probably the most important part of my section of the syllabus, and that is make up work, late work. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have been teaching school a long time. I could have taught your parents, could have probably some of your grandparents. I'm not kidding. Okay? And you know what? Life happens. Life happens to everybody. And I do have a close working knowledge of what a high school is like. I understand that things happen in school. And so I am more than willing to have you make up your work. Now, let's read this. Get a 0. Okay? Now, if you do nothing, that 0 stays there. If you turn in your work 2 days late, it's minus 10 points per day. All assignments are due by the end of the day. That's 11:59 p.m. Now, let me tell you this. If you turn something in 20 minutes after that, even 2 hours, I don't know why you're having to stay up that late to get your work in, but that's between you and your sleep. I will not count it late. It's when it's turned in at 12 noon the next day. That's 12 hours late. Or it's turned in 3 days late. And so there's a way for you to avoid this right here. So let's listen very, very carefully. Email me immediately. When you get that calendar and you look at it like you should, you're going to look in October and go, oh no, my brother's getting married that weekend and we have to fly to Cabo St. Lucas, whatever, in Mexico. You already know that assignment in October is going to be late. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to send me an email, not during the wedding. No. Send me an email in September. Explain to me. Some of you go on church trips, church convocations. Some of you will have certain holidays that you have to spend a weekend doing whatever activities are required. Some of you are in Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, whatever the case is. Send me an email and explain the situation. Now listen to me carefully. Don't send me. I had a football game. Don't do it. I had a play. Don't do it. I had a soccer game. Don't do it. I had to work. Don't do it. You must utilize your entire class time. You're in class 5 days a week. Take full advantage of being able to work in that class. Okay? Send it, of course, to my school email. Give a reasonable and valid reason. Students need to provide enough information for me to make a proper decision. Now, y'all, I am a grandmother and I am kind of a softie. Give me that reasonable, give it to me. Okay? You'd be surprised what I accept as reasonable, but you've got to give me a reason. And I will most likely give you what you need. Now, this video is called It's Your Responsibility. So what is reasonable? Illness? Let's do this. Illness? Family matters? Emergencies? As I said, religious obligations on you get the drift, okay? And y'all, I'm going to tell you, my little dog died that you will see in my Meet Professor Torture, who passed away in May. And I understand the grief that comes from losing a pet. So you need to be, remember, valid and reasonable. And then I most likely will give you an extension. You may have 2 more days. I need it by Wednesday. Now, here's what you need to do right here. I am old, okay, and I've got a lot of students. When you submit your late assignment, you've got to leave me a note. There is a place in the submissions when you upload where you can type me a little note. Hi, Professor. This is Jeff, and you gave me 2 extra days. And I really mean this right here, ladies and gentlemen, right here. I mean this with all my heart and soul. I want you to have this dual credit when you leave in May or when you go to your senior year out of history. Now, last but not least, and thank God the old woman is shutting up, these are the acceptable materials. The Tcast, which you're getting a sample of one today, these are the equivalent of lectures, as if you got in a car and drove to a campus and went to a building and went to room number 313. Anytime an instructor gives you a lecture, that's the information they want you to know. Do not ignore this. I have students who started trying to ignore it. Don't do it. Don't. They're usually, sometimes I'll do them in this kind of format, which is more informal. Most of the time there's a PowerPoint attached with narration. And it's inside of that PowerPoint that you get all kinds of notes, all kinds of notes, comments, examples. And when you watch the Tcast over the guided vocabulary, this right here will make sense to you big time. And ladies and gentlemen, this is your first source of information. I'm just going to say ignore it at your own peril. Your textbook is the second most important. Now, I want you to remember that these chapters are going to be embedded in the vocabulary. The Tcast come from, I upload them to YouTube, and those links will also be provided to you. I do YouTube videos on occasion. That means they're important. Outside readings. I will on occasion have outside readings that are also linked. But here's what I want you to know. I'm going to slow down because I'm done here after this. Students may not use any outside source unless given specific information. You notice that ChatGPT kept popping up? Y'all, I know all about it. I've used it for some things, honestly, and I think it has its place. But don't you dare ChatGPT and then think you're going to copy and paste. We have programs that tell us you did just that. Also, I've been teaching for 9,263 years. I've become very familiar with AI. I can almost every time spot a student who's tried to fool me. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a zero. It's just a zero. Because you've cheated. You've copied and pasted something as your own. And I'm asking your classroom teacher to read the section of the syllabus over dishonesty and plagiarism. It's going to shock you what the college can do if you are accused of this, okay? On some assignments, you will be given permission to Google, and it'll say it on the assignment. If for any chance you decide to take it further, you've done all of this, you're not trying to be a get-over, and you decide to go look, some of you will go down a rabbit hole. If you do that, you need to give me a link. You need to give me a place to go find what you're saying. And we also have a program called Turn It In that spots suspected plagiarism. I'm also putting up for you to watch during your first 2 weeks before the Lone Star something called the General Rubric. I want you to listen to that and look exactly at what I'm looking for when it comes to your assignments. Now, the rest of this is required by the state, and you might want to just look at it. But right here, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm wanting your classroom teacher to take you through, so there's no question about anything. Here's also the 6-drop rule that I mentioned. You may want to look at that as well. Now, I will tell you this. Should you be, quote, accused of suspected plagiarism, etc., of course, you can send me an email to ask me to explain to me and ask me if I would reconsider. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll always reconsider. Okay? So thank you for listening today. I know this got long, but the syllabus is very, very important to you as a student as you move forward in the next several years. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you all, meeting you all online, and you're going to be successful. Do not become discouraged without talking to me, and know that I want you to be successful, as well as your classroom teacher wants that for you as well. So thank you for listening, and I'll be in touch soon. Thank you.